right, guys. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Hole Lotta Bogeys interview series. We have an awesome episode for you guys today. This company is taking the golf industry by storm. Everybody should try this putter and should probably have it in the bag and sink more putts. That's going to be Lie Angle Balanced, aka L.A.B Golf. We're here with the CEO today, Sam Hahn. Sam, I don't know if you want to introduce yourself to the people and just start off talking a little bit about L.A.B.
Well, hello. I am Sam Hahn. Yeah, L.A.B is like you said, we're taking the world by storm. We've got some technology that is legitimately profound, and I've known that it's worked ever since I got involved with the company, and now it's been a really fun, really this last 24 months to sort of be validated by the rest of the world that's starting to use these things, and it really does work.
Yeah. I think before we even jump into the pod, there's something that separates you guys outside of technology, really. How many putter companies do you know about that have been around for as short a period of time as you guys that have gotten a win on a professional golf tour in a pro's bag? Right. That is unprecedented and definitely deserves some recognition
exactly.
and some praise, because that's crazy. Like, that's amazing, and it's really helping prove how valid this putter really is.
Right,
You're gonna pick your line, and then all you got to worry about is pace.
It is pretty rare for a company like ours to get any kind of action out on tour, and that was for sure the most naive assumption that I made getting into the business. So I was not in the golf business at all before L.A.B, and I was just a customer of, at the time the company was called Directed Force, and I was like a 1 or a 2, something like that when I got it, and then 6 weeks later I was a +3.5. It was the best golf I ever played, and nothing changed about my game other than the equipment that I was using. And all of a sudden I was like making a couple 30-footers around, and making all the 8-foot par saves and all that. And when the opportunity came around to partner with Bill Pressey, who's the inventor, I was like, this is a no-brainer. We'll figure out a way to get out on tour, and somebody will pick it up and they will win with it right away, just like I did, and we will all live happily ever after. And it's not like that at all. It's so hard. It's so unbelievably hard to deal with the tour guys, and to get out there. And we got incredibly lucky to even have an opportunity on tour. So kind of week one, the first thing I did was call up the PGA Tour to understand what's involved in getting on the putting green. And they were like, well, you either need to, be specifically invited by a player, or you need to have enough plays on tour to merit a credential. And the way that they figure that stuff out is with a separate entity called the Darrell Survey. And the Darrell Survey sends people to every single professional event out there, pretty much, and they literally go through everyone's bag and write down every single piece of equipment, from the grip to the shaft to the gloves, the balls, the tees, every single thing that they use, and mark it down. And so anyway, this woman at the PGA was like, is anybody inviting you? I was like, no. And she's like, well, what's the name of the company? And I was like, don't worry about it. I'm sure we haven't had any plays. She's like, well, what's the name of the company? Let me check. And then she checked, and totally randomly, a journeyman pro by the name of Tim Wilkinson, who's a lefty, bought the putter in a pro shop in New Zealand, and used it for like 8 or 10 at the time nationwide events.
Wow.
And that was enough to qualify us for a credential.
That's fantastic. You guys had no idea he was using it. That's incredible.
Never even heard of the dude. And then the idea that he had a full status encore on tour, that whatever rando pro shop in freaking New Zealand had a lefty that fit him.
Wow. It was left-handed too.
Right.
So it was an incredible stroke of luck there. And honestly, all the tour stuff, that it's fairly rare that we get action from tour guys strictly from just being out on the putting green. That's changing now. Now that there's now that we're not like the weird dorks in the corner anymore. Now we do get people coming up to the bag and checking out what's new and all that. But prior to that, I mean, like, the other huge break that we got was Adam Scott, and
Mr. Burberry Golf.
He did look good when he was in Burberry. I like the unicorn.
Those early '90s, late '90s, early 2000s Burberry.
Yeah,
That's
Those pictures are so sweet.
So you guys know Kelly Slater is the surfer?
Yeah.
Actually.
So Kelly's a total golf nut, like
Okay.
Oh, what?
crazy golf person. Like if he is not surfing, he is golfing, and he's really good. And similar to the way he approaches surfing, which I don't know if you've ever seen interviews with him. He's an extremely focused guy and very deliberate about everything he does. And so he's logic only. And so when he saw our putter, like that made a good bit of sense. And he too just bought it at Carlsbad Golf, just off the rack. And then about a year later, he was playing in the Pro-Am at Pebble Beach with Kelly, or with Adam. And then that's how Adam found out about it. And then Kelly put the two of us in touch, and that's how that worked out. So
That's incredible.
so it takes a lot of luck. And if you look at some of the other smaller companies that have been fortunate enough to break through, like Seymour, for instance, was also pretty random set of circumstances that had Payne Stewart with that putter in his hand during the U.S. Open, and it wasn't just because they were out there on the putting green. It's they've had a good break, so we've been lucky enough to catch a few. Yeah,
true testament to like the technology and the benefits that golfers are really seeing, though, because Adam Scott saw it, probably picked it up, said, let me try that one time, and then he felt it immediately, and he stuck with it. That's awesome.
Yep.
And I think one of the cool things too is that there's even technology in the grips, like the press grips that you guys offer, that it's important for people to know you can use those on any putter, but obviously they're going to pair up the best with the L.A.B golf putters, where they've been designed hand in hand, engineered with one another. And it's just pretty cool to see. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Adam Scott rocks like a blue Mez 1 putter.
Mez Max, or he's used quite a few different versions of the Mez in the last 18 months. The first one he was using would have been a year ago in November, was actually just a straight like raw prototype. I sent it to him for feedback, not to use. And then the next thing I know, we see it on TV in Dubai.
It's all the feedback you need right there.
Totally.
It's working.
And then he is a big time tinkerer. He's not he doesn't tinker for tinkering's sake. Like he's not he's crazy smart and extremely knowledgeable about equipment, like way more than the average tour pro. He really knows his stuff. And so when he asks us to build him something that may be, for whatever reason, slightly different than the one that he's using, there's a very, very specific reason why. It's not just throwing darts and seeing where it lands. So the one that you saw the pictures of, that blue one, that wasn't actually by his request. That was really cool the way that worked out. There's a very, very, very cool company called TPT. They make shafts, and they're the best in the business, period. The way that they are making shafts is completely different than the way that anybody ever has. And consequently, they have, purely granular control over every single aspect of the shaft. And just being, both kind of tech forward companies, they reached out to see if we could, work together to design a putter shaft. So we did. We designed them together. We called out exactly what it was that we wanted, and saw the best performance out of the other shaft offerings that we have. And they made us prototypes of standard size putter. But the real benefit to all these new shafts that are coming out, or I shouldn't say the real benefit. the place where you really see the benefit is in long putters. When you start getting the big heavy heads on them, at 44 to 48 inches, whatever it is, it's a really big deal. So then there's a couple long shafts, and just because I wanted to give the TPT guys some feedback, had them build that blue one with the last prototype of that shaft that we had left, just to see if he would like it. And that was just 2 weeks ago in Los Angeles. And we played together, and I brought it for him. I was assuming he was going to hit 3 putts and be like, I like this, I don't like this, I like this, I don't like this, and and then hand it back. And he loved it. He just put it right, literally put it in the bag that day. That was it. He hasn't touched it since then.
Yeah, I feel like having a guy like that kind of on your side or on your team is really could be really like instrumental in developing your product. You know what I mean? Having a guy who gives really good feedback, and like you said, he knows more than than most tour players about equipment and things like that. So having a guy like that kind of in your back pocket to send him this or send him that, you can really get good feedback. Or if you'll see it on TV one day and he won't even tell you. Yeah,
it's amazing. Yeah, I mean, most people, tour players especially, the feedback that they give is entirely based on, at least in my world with putters, it's entirely based on like the first 2 putts they hit.
Yeah.
They go in, they're like, oh yeah, good product. This thing's really good.
Yeah.
If they don't, it's like, doesn't feel right. Like it's like entirely based on what happens versus actually objectively looking at the experience that they're having with the equipment. And and Adam's very definitely that. I got to apologize.
Yeah, no worries. But it's cool too to hear you partnering with like a shaft company like that that's doing such innovative new things in the industry, because it fits right hand in hand with what you guys are doing. Because on your website, it's really funny. You have that Winston Churchill quote, and I have it written down here. It's that golf is a game whose aim is to hit a very small ball into an even smaller hole with weapons singularly ill-designed for the purpose. That's the best explanation I've ever heard of golf in ever. And seeing that you guys are actually taking something like the putter, which has had very minimalistic changes really over time, and doing something completely different that's actually having a direct benefit to golfers and is like proving to be effective and rolling in more putts is super cool to see.
Yeah, and it relates to that quote, like, our putter is designed for the purpose,
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have a putter that's staying square to the path that you're actually trying to roll the damn ball on. So yeah, I love that quote. We have been very fortunate to be able to partner with a bunch of different companies. A lot of these shaft companies in particular, like the putter shaft market is fairly new. It was just not an aspect of the club that anybody really given any consideration to. I would say that Barney Adams really is the pioneer there. He's the fellow who owns BGT, and he was the first person. Well, he wasn't the first person. There were some other iterations out there, and UST made the filter shaft a couple of decades ago. But for the most part, it was a relatively untouched industry. Barney started figuring out, effectively that stiffer is better. And when you pick a putter off a rack, whippy shafts feel awesome. Like if you just go grab, like one of those old bullseyes that have the weird little fluted neck. I don't know if you've ever seen those. Like they feel sweet. Like, I mean, they just feel so good. And the feedback is awesome, and you feel like Crenshaw, but in practice, like they're worthless. I mean, super crappy. And the more, I think, and part of the whippy shafts is why in the 70s, 80s, early 90s, the guys who saw putt exceptionally well were guys with really, really good tempo. Super smooth Crenshaw-like tempo. Lauren Roberts, is another good example. I think that part of that is because these are guys that built strokes to accommodate the whippy shafts. Because if you're, more, quicker in transition and a little bit more rapid in the through stroke, that's when you're really going to see the detriment of having a whippy shaft. So anyway, the shaft business is really kicking into gear. early on, we did a lot of good work with BGT, and they were an excellent fit with our putters just because it solved some swing weight problems for us. And then some of these other companies, came out and started doing it, and they started seeking us out because our required tolerances on a shaft are way higher than anybody else, because the way that we balance our putters, if the shaft isn't, nothing's perfectly straight and nothing is perfectly round, but if it isn't as close as you can get it, we can't balance it. So to your listeners, I promise I'm not dying, nor do I have to get COVID.
He's all right. He is all right, I promise.
LA Golf is a perfect example where they came up with some pretty cool tech that had their shafts like insanely stiff. Like they are the stiffest around right now. And then they put whatever weird space goo in between each wrap to make it feel pretty good. And so we really liked that part of it. But we were kicking back half the shafts that they were sending us because they weren't straight and they weren't round. And then they were excited to work with us on it, and have our testing ultimately prove out, their capabilities and help with their process. And now they make really, really straight, very round shafts.
Yeah.
And so similar with TPT, people are reaching out just because they know that we kind of go the extra mile on that stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
That is cool too.
Every
Yeah, it's
box
got to be
being
a
checked.
benefit for all those like shaft companies being able to work with you and know like they're not cutting any corners. They're testing every single little thing,
Right.
and you're getting more results back than you would from pretty much anybody else. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah, we got to actually get the Mitsubishi guys coming here tomorrow.
Oh, that'll be cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be super cool.
That's awesome.
So out of curiosity, just like fun question, having worked with like Adam Scott, like who's on your list, a tour pro that would be like ideal for you to work with? Like you love how they putt and you just love to see a L.A.B putter in their hands. It's a loaded question. But.
No, it's like what's funny is that two of the guys, and actually maybe one more this week, I hope. I made a list right when I started. I made a list of guys that I thought would be good candidates, and guys that I was calling out were guys that have really good strokes who putt like crap, kind of inexplicably. And so Charles Howell was on that list. Yeah. And he's always had a wonderful stroke. Like he doesn't wiggle. His tempo's very consistent and matches, sort of the rest of his golf swing. I didn't really know him well enough and didn't see him up close enough to know if maybe he struggled with aim or what it was, but the dude had a nice stroke and just did not make putts. Sergio was also on that list, who also uses our Mez putter. So yeah, I mean, guys like that have talent, they have touch, they have the eyes, they've got the stuff, and the ball just ain't going in. Those are the guys that I'm after. Because that was me, like when I was a really, really inconsistent putter, and there was nothing that an instructor would see about the way that I was rolling it that would give them any indication as to why. It turns out I was just, I didn't use the word or have any idea that this is what it was, but I was ultimately very torque sensitive. And I was reacting to, how the putter was twisting in my hand. And then when I got L.A.B, without doing a single thing, everything started going in. So, yeah, I like those guys. We got another guy that was on that list that fingers crossed will have it in play this week is Luke List.
Okay. That'll be cool.
Absolutely, extraordinary ball striker. I mean, he's one of the dudes on the range that like you can hear from 30, 40 yards away.
Yeah,
like,
just that crack noise.
Yeah, that's Luke getting balls over there. Fuck. I mean, it's
like, man, just a little different. Just
I'd love to see him roll some putts in with a L.A.B and get a dub. That would be super cool.
Totally. Super, super nice guy. So yeah, guys like that rightfully should make more putts than they do are the guys that I'm always interested in. As far as like my favorite stroke on tour, oddly, I don't want them to use a L.A.B putter because it's like too much pressure. Like
yeah, you don't want to screw anything up.
Yeah, exactly. Like I mean, like Xander and
I was gonna say Xander's known for those deep putts. John Rahm's been putting lights out lately, but
I feel like that's a good way to approach tour players is like, hey, listen, you have a great stroke. We have the missing piece. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not sinking putts. This might help. You know what I mean? That's the way to go about it. Like you said, instead of going after like a big name guy who's already sinking all his putts or whatever, putting
For
lights out.
sure. And
Right.
when you have somebody on tour too, or playing in any pro golf syndicate, it's making one putt could be the matter of $40,000, $60,000,
Right.
even more. And those they care about every single. If they think that putter is going to give them the shot at making even one jump up that leaderboard, they're going to take it.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
Dude, I
that's
mean,
what's cool to see is like,
I wish I could remember. There was some meme floating around last year that was like, if X player over the course of their 15-year career made one more putt per tournament, not even per round, per tournament, they're in the Hall of Fame.
oh,
And as it was, they were, not.
yeah.
Oh my God.
So yes, they were looking for any possible
Yeah.
edge they can.
Hoping that specific golfer never saw that stat. That would be painful to see about yourself, man.
Right.
One more putt every tournament.
He's reading it like, no way, it was just that.
Yeah, he's like,
no
no
way.
way.
There's no way it was only one. But
Yeah.
I mean, we've been talking so much about how L.A.B has the ability to like really boost your confidence when you're making these putts, knowing that you're going to be online. You just got to worry about that pace and that you're going to get the ball rolling sooner. And like we were talking about online. And what's cool is one of the newer things or fairly recent things is the customization aspect now with the L.A.B putters. And you can really get as much confidence as possible from this putter than any putter, because you can get it dialed in exactly how you want it to look. It'll be to the exact specs that you want. And like we've been saying, you're going to be online. And it's got to be like the most amazing feeling for any golfer who's like struggling to make putts that gets one and they start seeing the results. It's got to be like a light bulb effect type thing.
Right. Especially when you can have everything back dialed in. It's like just that extra confidence. Any more confidence looking down at a club that you can get, I feel like is imperative for a golfer.
For sure. I mean, and we, the experience for a lot of our customers is like so remarkable because it's so different, like prior to L.A.B, like everybody who plays golf avidly has bought a new putter, putted amazing with it for a round and a half, and then that first 4-footer gets missed, and then all of a sudden it starts to look not as pretty as it did when you unwrapped it, and it 2 weeks later it was under the stairs with the rest of them. And you kind of, at least for me, I knew I was riding a honeymoon with other putters. Like when I'd get a new one and I'd have that hot couple of rounds, like I never really believed in my bones this one's the right one for me, this is the answer, until L.A.B. And you feel it in such a completely different way that it isn't just a honeymoon. Like what you're doing is different. All of a sudden you can just react to your target instead of steering this putter around. And so we get these messages all the time. I mean, people, you started talking about customization. I think that's part of it too. It's just like you've designed it yourself. You pick the color that you think suits you, and the color shaft that you think suits you. And this is the line that I want on it. Here's the weight I want on it. Here's the color grip I want. Like, this is my freaking putter. This is my baby. My actual DNA is in this now because, I made it. And then when they get there and actually have results with it, they go out of their way to write us these like page-long emails about their experiences, and it never gets old. It's been 6 years, and a few times every single week, somebody coming in just telling us how golf is fun again, and they're not yipping it anymore. Our friends aren't making fun of them anymore. All that stuff, and it's just awesome.
And I like too, you guys have on the website, I believe they're all sold out currently, but like the limited release special edition putters, like there's a pink one, there's going to be the American flag, and then my favorites, there's 2 Star Wars ones. And you can tell that you guys have an appreciation for Star Wars, and you didn't just slap a logo on there, because you got the TIE fighters, the X-Wings, but you have Darth Vader's ship there as well. There's an AT-AT on there. I mean,
you probably guess we're allowed to swear on the show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're fucking nerds, man. Like we're big time nerds. And so yes, the Star Wars ones were the engineering guys had a really good time with those 2. We're trying to think if we're gonna do May the 4th this year again. Yeah, the single releases are super fun. Did you guys see the Valentine's Day one?
I don't think we
I
have
was
seen
gonna
that
say,
one
I
yet.
haven't seen that
Check
one.
out our IG. It's awesome. It was all white, and we got a dude downstairs runs the lasers, and he figured out a way of annealing this thing that the hearts are all like faded and cool. And it's cool as hell. And it's so cool that we have enough of a fan base that like people are interested in our collectibles now. You know,
Yeah.
like we couldn't give a stock one away 6 years ago. So you know, the people are going out of their way paying these premium prices for these one-off putters makes it really fun to design them. And we're hoping to do more of it this year. We had a funny discussion internally. I personally am not a collector. Like if I'm totally candid, like the head cover industry makes me feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Like I don't understand everybody's obsession with head covers. And you know, like I'm in the business of trying to help people putt better, and head covers do not help people putt better.
You're getting right down to business. Exactly. You want to shave
Yeah. But now I got a whole bill, you know, it's not just my company. And you know, we got some golfers that have a different, you know, parts of the game that they love, and they do love the head covers, and they love all the gear, and they love all the stuff. And it's starting to grow on me now that these guys are in here and like making cool ass head covers for us, and you know, coming up with these fun designs on the putters. I'm starting to get into it quite a bit more.
Yeah, I don't think you have the wrong idea either, in a sense too, where like I think anybody who is buying your putter probably wants to hear the CEO of the company say, like, I'm focused on the putters. Like, nobody else is worrying about the head covers. I'm focused on the putters and helping you put putts in the hole.
I was just gonna say, yeah, that's like something I feel like a customer wants to hear when you said like, oh, you know, we got other guys who actually care about the head cover, so they're focusing on that. I'm fully focused on this. Just a great kind of example of that dynamic your team has going on, how you can really check all the boxes.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah.
So also, like, just getting into, obviously we've talked about there's the Link, the Mez, and the DF 2.1, the Link being your blade style putter, the Mez being the mallet, mid mallet, DF being your larger mallet. The DF, was that the original design that you guys would have had, being the directed force as the previous name as well?
Before my, you know, before I came along, the very first, the chassis didn't change. That big, you know, anvil horseshoe branding iron looking thing was the original shape they released to the public. There was a couple iterations first. I wish I had one with me, but you know, we call it the Starship Enterprise. There was a very, very odd looking iteration that fortunately did not make it to production. But yeah, that chassis that, you know, the directed force was the first one. That was the Reno. They made some sort of internal modifications to it, and then it became the Reno 2.0. And then some more modifications. It became the Reno 2.1, and then and that's when I met Bill. You know, when we partnered, we decided to rebrand the company. And so we called that putter the directed force, rather than the company calling the company the directed force. And we kept the 2.1 moniker there. And it's gone under, you know, quite a few changes over the years. I mean, like a huge one actually. This was amazing to see last night. Actually, there's like a Facebook fan group that we didn't start. You know, that like was just like dudes that were obsessed with their L.A.B putters, and
yeah, it's sweet.
That's amazing.
Before I was even invited, there was already like 600 members. It was incredible.
Well, I mean, that makes sense. There's such like a following behind, like, you figure like Scotty Camerons and even Odyssey putters and stuff. So you got to figure, if you're putting a good product out on the market, like L.A.B itself, you're going to have a group of people who are going to want to talk about their shit. You know what I mean? What they made.
You know, we're not really big enough. Very few companies are big enough. Almost no companies are big enough that it's like worth some random dude in China ripping us off, right? And so, you know, making fakes. But yesterday, somebody on this fan page posted, like, I got 2 putters. I'm looking at them. I think one's fake. And we're like, what's up? And then he, you know, posted the 2 pictures. And it was just that he was noticing the change that we had, the most significant change we've made to the putter, which is that we used to forge it. And now we machine it. So when it was forged, it had, you know, much more contoured radiuses, like along the face, and the edges were much more rounded. And then now that it's machined, everything's a little bit more boxed off, and you can kind of see the machine lines. And and stuff like that. And we were like, no, dude, we
Like, hey,
didn't,
I appreciate your eye and you noticing the little things, but not a fake. It's
you
just
didn't buy a fake. You got an OG, and you got a new one.
Yeah, going back to that Facebook group for a second, like when you provide such like a impactful product, you know what I mean? Like someone buys it, like the guy who started that bought a L.A.B putter and loved it so much. He's like, dude, I got to find more people. You know what I mean? So start that Facebook group. And when you get this product and you literally shave off a couple strokes here or there every round, it's like you're gonna go after it online and find other people in the community. Yeah, that's
sure.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and I think even more than that, like there's a few things that I think get people married to their L.A.B putter more than whatever they would do. The first one, which I think is probably some of what the Cameron crowd sort of deals with, is like they're expensive. And like if you're dropping in our case minimum $450 on up to $1,200 on a putter, like even if you don't love it, you're going to convince yourself you do.
That's your putter now.
So that's thing one that I think gets people like really married to it. Thing two is that particularly with the directed force, there is no way for you to have played golf with your directed force and not taken shit for it. And I think that if you take a bunch of shit from your friends and you sort of have to defend your purchase and defend the putter, now all of a sudden the relationship with you and your putter is even that much deeper. And then lastly, I think that a lot of people once they kind of learn to utilize the tech and actually start to see legitimate empirical factual results with the putter, they like feel like they like they knew the band before the band got big,
right?
And so when you see somebody from across the course and you can't miss the head cover from a quarter mile away, you know what it is, like, yeah, I'm with you. We got the thing going. So I think that that's why we have such a super cult following. I mean, we have our customers and fans are as loyal as anything I've ever seen.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked with Bill Halawadi from over at Mira Golf, and he was saying that one of the best ways to sell a product is by having a happy customer. And it seems like L.A.B has just so many happy customers. Those have to be the best way to market your product. And they're going to tell everybody and anybody who's willing to listen about their putter how they're making more putts than they were before.
Right, exactly. I feel like that's such like just going back to it. Yeah, like that's such a thing where it's like you're golfing with someone and you seriously see that tangible result, you're going to tell everybody about it. You know what I mean? Unless you're competing against them, you're going to tell all your buddies, like, you might want to check this out because it's seriously shaved a couple of strokes. That's it's like the difference is more tangible. You know what I mean? It's
absolutely. Sure. And to the Mira guys, point about, a happy customer, like there's plenty of products that I've bought in the past that are great products, but I wasn't necessarily a happy customer. And so to have a happy customer is twofold. They need to have a product that they really enjoy, but they also need to have an experience that they really like. And I think that one of the advantages that we had was that my prior work experience was in the bar and music business. And so I existed pretty much entirely on social media. That was my whole world, and understanding how people interact on social media. And a lot of the golf companies are, still run by a much older demographic. And I would say that a lot of them haven't really tapped into the power of social media. And when Bill and I first got started, that was all. We had no money and we had no marketing budget. We had nothing. And so the whole thing was just going to different golf groups, and actually touching these customers, and reaching them and talking them through it, and being way more accessible than any other companies in golf. And that's something that we've tried to maintain. Even with all the growth, I'm still on Facebook every day. I'm still on Instagram every day, answering questions, doing the thing. I think that's how you guys found me, was on Instagram.
Yeah, it was through Instagram.
And so it creates a customer experience, and it's really not that difficult to accomplish. For us to be able to individually reach out to these folks and talk them through it. And we're like, it's a big check they're writing for one of these custom putters direct to consumer. And so like our customer service guys, I mean, we give them the time, and we really give our customers the time. And so, and then now, to the point of the Mira guy, we're starting to reap the benefits of all that because our customers are by far our best reps. I mean, they're out there pushing our product so hard onto their friends.
Yeah. And
awesome.
You talk about social too, and like constantly being on there, staying in front of people's faces. Where everybody lives on the internet nowadays, you know what I mean? So that's, number one, most important is, and then having that personal interaction, answering questions, answering DMs. It's like, wow, they actually answered me. You know what I mean? It's more of a personal experience. And everybody lives online.
And relatable to us in the same sense is like, you'll see like different podcast shows and interview shows, like Bridgestone Golf, for example, has one. And, they got a huge budget. They're having Tiger Woods hop on their show and stuff. And like, we've built this whole brand just through networking and trying to like build these face-to-face relationships like we did with you, obviously, to get you in here and have you spit a little game about the L.A.B golf putters and the brand. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Back to the customers, though. I was wondering, was it through customer request that you guys decided to integrate like the broomstick putters and the arm locks, or was that just like a previous thought that you guys went with when the time was right?
That's a good question. Yeah, no, we always, we're a little bit more mainstream now, right? Like you got regular old Joe Blows that use our stuff, particularly because we got, a couple putters that aren't so funny looking anymore. But when it was just the DF that was out there, the type of players that were attracted to it, are your golf crazies, your super cerebral nuts, who consequently are also oftentimes broomstickers, side saddlers, arm lockers. And so what happened was like early on when, with the old Directed Force website, it was still a custom product that you were choosing. You were selecting your lie angle, you were selecting your length, you were selecting shaft lean, and this, that, and the other thing. And so people just started reaching out saying like, can you guys make a broomstick? And because broomsticks, like nobody makes them. I think Odyssey still has one in production. And other than that, I don't think there's a major OEM that makes a broomstick.
I was gonna say I can't think of one other than the Odyssey. So
and broomstick people want options too. They want to screw around with stuff. So anytime there's a custom option, you'll see the broomstickers reach out to those companies and ask if they can make one. In our case, we were able to. We used to have to make them. The head wasn't light enough, and the original DF 2.1, the only place that we could add weight was either in the shaft or in those weight ports in front. But there's only so much weight you can add to the ports in front before the face starts to droop and it's not balanced anymore. So and then all of a sudden you're putting 350 grams, not that much, whatever you can fit in the shaft. And if you fill up the bottom tip of the shaft this much with tungsten powder, well, it really starts to feel like crap. So what we actually did for the early broomstick folks was we put like a sheet of lead tape on the bottom. Like, I mean, they were, I wish I had one around here. They were so funny. I mean, I shit you not, like it was that thick. Like the putter didn't sole anymore. Like it was like hovering off the ground. That was how we used to have to make them.
Yeah.
We're going to. Oh, they shot. Right. I got a first tee right outside my window.
Oh, hell yeah. That's awesome.
Fantastic.
The first one in out of bounds.
Yeah, being in Buffalo, we don't get the luxury of looking at golf all the time. But we're making a trip down to Virginia next week, play some golf. So we're excited to do that. But
excited to get out of the super cold weather for a little bit. Yeah, exactly.
But back to the broomsticks, though.
Yeah, so I mean, we then realized there was a market for it, and we really started to refine it. And it's like, even if the broomstick market is 0.0001% of all golfers, well, if I had the market locked on 0.0001%, like for a tiny little company, we're kicking ass.
Oh, hell yeah.
And so it's fun being the only broomstick company out there. And then obviously with Adam playing as well as he does with it, that definitely gets people interested. And then the same thing with arm locks. And arm locks, like, I love our arm locks. I don't particularly care for the method, but if you're gonna arm lock, there's no reason in the world you shouldn't use ours. Like in the way that everybody else does it, just by carving a bunch of loft into the face to accommodate all the shaft lean. You have a putter that never soles properly.
Yeah.
And the way that we do it, by drilling the shaft lean right into the head so that the head still sits flush, is a much better way to go about it. And then with the complete flexibility we have on swing weight and total weight and all that kind of stuff, it just makes our stuff just way better.
Yeah, and as cliche or corny as it may sound, I think it's super dope that you guys are still catering to that market that might be niche, even though it's not me and it's not him. It's like, I like the fact that you can go onto a course at any given day and we're all playing different clubs. Nobody, it's rare that you can find somebody who's rocking like the same, unless you have the newest, best driver, you'll probably run into more people with it or the model previous, but you're not running into people who are playing the exact same clubs as you all the time.
Yeah.
Sure.
And it's like golf is like life in that sense, where if we all did the same shit and we all liked the same shit, it would just be boring and it would lose its thunder. So
yeah, 100%.
It's definitely like a compliment to you guys for sure. That I
love we're able to. I mean, those guys are our types of customers. Nobody uses there's nobody in the history of the game that has used a broomstick that isn't crazy about golf.
Yeah.
Because like like with all the stigma that's associated with broomsticks and the shit that you're going to take for using one, like you are obviously somebody who's way more interested in getting the ball in the hole than anything else. And so those are our customers, man. Those are the guys that give us the best feedback. Those are the guys that help us the most, that push the product the most, and all that. And besides that, man, broomsticking is awesome. I'd never touched a broom in my life before we started prototyping for Adam. Which wasn't when we met him. When we met him, he was using a short version of our putter. He wasn't using the broom. And then when we started making brooms, I was just trying to make him feel good. And then a couple weeks in, I realized I hadn't missed inside 10 feet. Like badass.
Oh yeah.
And then I still use one. This last year, I probably only used it about a fifth of the time. The 2 years prior, I was probably using one about half the time. I just don't like schlepping the thing around, honestly, as much as anything. But it's an incredible way to putt, and if you get rid of the stigma about it, I mean, Adam has it in his head that if you gave 10 kids, who'd never played before a broom, and 10 kids a regular putter, and go check in with them a year later, he'd put $1 million that the broom kids win.
Wow.
And he had said that right when I was getting my son into it, who unfortunately golf didn't really take for him. But when he was, trying to play, he was using a broom and he was badass with it.
Yeah, hey, we'll give him time too, because we grew up playing golf and we kind of overdid it and then went our separate ways with different sports. And now after post-college time and everything, have made our way back into the game. And it could take some time.
I was gonna say, yeah, definitely take some time. And I feel like, at the age like we're, like early 20s coming out of college, a lot of people get back into golf. They kind of, like you said, leave college, have a lot of free time, something else to pick up. Keep that competitive nature. So don't count them out.
Yeah, well, here's hoping. I mean, he's adorable. He's not an athletic bone anywhere in his body. But he loves being outside, so he did enjoy it. He'd play a few holes and ride around the cart, and then and he's got a guy for the game too. And then my daughter is like physically awesome at everything that she does the first time that she does it, and so she's got this like perfect, natural, awesome golf swing, and she'll come to the range with me like twice a year and hit 5 drives like 200 yards down the middle and be like,
that's awesome.
Yes, we can go now.
I guess you're done for the year, right? That's awesome.
So a little bit off topic, but I had a question for you about the link putter. So what was the thought process, or how did you come to the conclusion that you were going to take the arm of the putter and actually put it directly to the flange? Because that's the first time I've ever seen that. And I feel like just thinking about it, like I was kind of feeling like correct me if I'm wrong, but like in my head, having never tested it before, it gave me the thought where if you kind of put your hand like this and put your hand like this, you have a lot more control over where that face is going, if that makes sense, if this was the face. And now that might be the craziest way to explain it you've ever seen.
I think I know what you mean. That wasn't the driving force. The technology starts with where we locate the shaft relative to the center of mass of the putter. And it doesn't necessarily need to stick directly into the mass, but it does need to point directly at the center of the mass. And so what was tricky about Link was we didn't have a shafting platform the way that we do with our other putters. So all of the other putters that we made, the 2 different versions of the Mez, the old B2, Blade 1, the directed force, like all of these have a platform that we were drilling the shaft lean and lie angle into, depending upon whatever the customer ordered. That's how we make all of our putters. We have a bunch of fancy drills downstairs and these crazy little mini CNCs that locate and drill this hole perfectly. And, and that's how we made every other putter. Well, with Link, we didn't have that luxury. If we were going to make an answer style putter, there was no platform. So we had to make a hosel.
Yeah.
And if we were going to make a hosel and still offer a big range of lies, the thought of machining the whole thing as one piece, from a manufacturing standpoint, was just like, it's like an inventory nightmare to have to manufacture a whole putter head at 65 degrees and stock how many 65s are we going to have? How many 63s are we going to have?
Yeah.
So now we can just make the chassis, just, the basic part of the head, thousands of them at a time. And then all we have to change is that hosel piece. And, we've taken a little bit of shit for it. It looks a little rugged, just kind of tacking it onto the backside like that.
I think it looks cool.
I was gonna say it caught my eye right away. Like you said, we
It's just
never really seen anything like that before. Yeah, it's different. And like, I don't know. Yeah,
and clearly it got my brain going. It got me thinking, what was the thought
You're
here?
like,
Like, why? It's got to have some kind of purpose.
Yeah.
No, it's just to make it easy to manufacture and still offer, a whole range, because manufacturing hosels at different lie angles is obviously a much smaller task
For sure.
Right. Than you doing the whole thing. So it ended up with a pretty rugged look, and that attachment piece has been it's one of those things, like I wish there was a way for me to communicate and sort of tell the story without wasting everyone's time. Just I wish I could just like implant the feeling into people's brains of how difficult it was. Engineering that one single piece, which to the end user looks like a piece of metal screwed into another piece of metal, took 8 months. Took 8 months to get that one piece right, to get that one piece to where it felt good, looked okay, stayed secure, was able to house all the different lie angles, was durable, manufacturable, all of those things. That little piece was kept us up at night.
Yeah, I was going to ask you how long it took you guys to come up with that, because I feel like it's such a I don't know, kind of a genius idea, you know what I mean? But a lot of work cultivating it, for sure.
For sure. That's our engineer, Kevin Martin. He's a really, really smart dude. And it was so frustrating because like the basic concept was done like 18 months ago, 24 months ago. I mean, we had a drawing for what we wanted to do. We figured out how we were going to balance it, where the shaft needed to point. Like, we had a prototype. I think prototype number 1 would have been 20 months ago or something like that. Which, the way that we move, like, we're not like other companies where they have these like 2-year product cycles or whatever. It's like the second we have something that's like pretty done, we're like, release it, go.
Yeah.
And with so with Link, we were like, 20 months ago, like, sweet, we're gonna be releasing a Blade putter, in the spring of 2022. And then it took a while.
Well, hey, everything that's good isn't easy. You know what I mean? So
that's
it takes a couple extra steps.
That's my thing, man. That's what I'm going to get that tattooed across my forehead. That's what I always say to my I'm fortunate enough to work with my best friend in the world. He's Matt Schuth is our chief operating officer, and he and I have known each other 20 years. And every time
we're in,
I was going to say, we're kind of in the same boat here, right?
Nice. And whenever we get all stressed out and whatever at the end of the day, and we're sitting there huffing down cigarettes and freaking out, and that's I always say, if it was easy, everyone would do it. If it was easy, everyone would do it. If it was easy, everyone would do it.
Yeah, there's a lot of unforeseen, hurdles you got to jump over and everything, but it's all definitely worth it. You know what I mean? It's all worth
and
it.
sticking to it's like its own thing too. I feel like half the battle, like people always say, like when you're growing up just with regular jobs, like showing up's half the battle. If you want to do better than the other guy, you got to be there and you got to show up. Yeah. It's kind of like in the field you guys are in, like, you guys got to show up every day and keep like pushing the boundaries of golf and pushing the limits. And you guys are obviously reaping the benefits and having a lot of success. And it's really cool for somebody like us to like kind of look in and be like, damn, it's working. Right. It's really cool.
Yeah, we can just kind of peek in the window and see the whole story. It's really cool to hear.
Oh, it's cool.
For sure.
It's a remarkable story, the whole thing. It's a remarkable group we have. We got 30 employees now.
Wow.
You know, just moved into this factory on this golf course, and you guys should see how beautiful this is. Like,
oh wow. Wow, with the mountain backdrop too.
Yep.
Come on.
That
is fantastic.
When I consider that, you know, the company is operating out of a garage, a literal garage, you know. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's, I mean, not to sound corny, but that's the American dream, man. You like started off small and built your way up, and now you're sitting overlooking a golf course, like CEO of an awesome putter company that's like not just making putters, but like we said, you're pushing the boundaries of golf and changing the game. It's really cool.
Yeah.
It's fun.
So
exactly.
Sam, I know we had like a specific time frame we were working with here today. I don't want to keep you too long. And before we head out of here today, I was going to ask, is there anything that for this like 2023 season that's going to be coming up? We had mentioned the possible Star Wars release on May the 4th. Is there any other limited putters or any other things we could expect from Lab Golf? Could even be events of some kind?
Not that I'm necessarily at liberty to say.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, we're always prototyping, you know, new putters and stuff. And like I said, when, you know, we're much better about it now. We used to be horrible that the second we thought we were almost done with the putter, we would release it to the public and then just deal with the fucking problems, you know, as they arose. We can't do that anymore. So we'll be a little bit more deliberate. I would say it's unlikely we'll have a new putter out in 2024. Or I'm sorry, in 2023, but possible. As far as special releases, you know how I said it's like kind of not my jam. Well, I hired a whole person whose job that is, and I am not that person. So I don't even know what's in the pipeline. I know that he's been working on something. I think we're hoping to do something for Adam, commemorating the 10th anniversary of his Masters win this year. So we might release something there.
Super cool.
Yeah, that one would be pretty sweet. And yeah, as far as like limited special colors, graphics, shit like that, I would guarantee that we'll have 2 or 3 out this year. I don't know when though.
Awesome. Yeah, that's super cool to hear, and we're excited to see that. And we'll have to obviously check back in with you and reconvene at a later date and talk about everything that's happened between now and then. Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, you guys got it, man. This is a nice show you guys got here. Good vibe.
Yeah,
thank you. We appreciate that.
Yeah, super thankful for you coming on, taking the time out of your busy schedule and everything. I know you got a lot of shit going on, but taking an hour to talk to us, we're really grateful for that. So
100%. And it's that you're that caliber of guest that we're like dying to get, right? Like these cool putter companies and these like big brands that we just like truly are interested in. Like knowing, like the best example I can give you is like personally knowing Charlie Howe was like a golf gear guy. Like you can read articles about like how he just loves golf clubs. And so, you know, like me and him, like we're looking at putters all the time. If he's got that putter in his bag, that means something. And it's got value. So, it was really cool.
Adam Scott, a guy who you told us, you know, he knows way more about equipment or everything like that than most tour players. If he's got the Lab putter, come on. What are you doing with that one?
The smart ones are coming around.
Yeah, they're picking on. They're picking on.
100%.
But all right, Sam. Thanks again for joining us today.
Man.
We really appreciated learning about Lab, and hopefully the viewers like took a bunch of information from this and can go purchase their Lab putter and start rolling in more putts.
For sure.
My pleasure, guys. Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely, Sam. Thanks again.